And today, what I'd like to share with you, remembering that there are three things that we need in order to make our training go, go, go for us, to use a cheerleading term, probably because my daughter just went to some weird cheerleading thing. I have that on my mind. There's three things we need to do, and three things only. That is to get our system right, so our system has the right numbers, and we know that it's going to make money. So that's the overall expectancy of the system. We have to expect that it'll make, and it's a mathematical formula, obviously. We have to expect that it's going to make more money. When we put money into it, it pops out more money than we put into it, obviously, right? The second thing is that we have to make sure that our risk goals are aligned. Hey there. Our risk goals are aligned to achieve our target or what we're trying to do. And usually there are two things that we want to do. We want to avoid a catastrophic drawdown level, which is where we'll quit. And we want to achieve a certain amount or a certain percentage every week, every month, every year, whatever that is. Or it could be a dollar value, but that's typically it. Those are the two things that we're looking for. So what I want to do now, and the last thing obviously is the psychology, the mindset. So learning how to execute over and over again. And that's actually what I want to talk about right now. So I have a friend in graduate school where I went to do my psychology PhD in basically kids and how kids think about their thinking. It's called metacognition. She was in the office with in the same lab that I was in, and she had this terrifying fear of dogs, and her dog phobia was completely irrational. We would be walking around campus somewhere, and she would see a dog, and she'd like cower in the corner and stand behind me, between me and the dog. And they'd be like these big, fluffy, kind dogs, but she was terrified of them. And see, the thing that I found out when I asked her about it is when she was a kid, she had a really bad experience with a dog, where a dog knocked her over and she hit the back of her head, basically, is what happened. And so what happened was that experience with that dog had a sort of a negative charge. By the way, if this stuff that we're talking about right now resonates with you, you can get into the Small Account Big Profits course by clicking the link below or above this video. There'll be a link that'll get you more information about the Small Account Big Profits course. Take a $1,000 account and ramp it up to 100,000. That's our goal. So, and psychology is a big part of that, obviously. So whenever she ran into a dog, she would have this fear crop up. And the reason why is because it was negatively charged. She had a negatively charged emotional energy associated with dogs. So whenever she saw a dog, that's what happened. I was talking to a trader friend a couple weeks ago, and he was saying because he trades such a low win rate strategy that it was really hard for him to keep pulling the trigger, knowing that he's probably going to lose, that his trades are going to lose over and over and over again. It's so common that he would take a loser and that the next trade would be a loser, and then he'd take another trade and be a loser. Obviously, once in a while he'd get a winner and it would just wipe it out. He would pyramid on top of it, which we're going to talk about in another video, pyramiding. But the important thing, I guess, to note is that he understood what was going on, but he still had a hard time executing a strategy, which is common for trading, very common. So what I suggested to is that he focus on rewarding himself for his execution rather than rewarding himself for, high-fiving himself when he gets a winner, because it's just random luck of the draw. So, and that's really important lesson in there for traders, especially if let's say you trade a low win rate strategy. Let's say that 9% of the time you get paid 15 on your risk. So if you're risking $100, you get $1,500 when you win. Well, if that's the case and you only win 9% of the time, then you know that almost every time you get a signal, it's going to be a loss. In fact, 91% of the time, when you get a signal, it's going to be a loss. It's only occasionally when it turns out that you're going to get a win. So 9% of the time. And if you think about it, that can be a difficult thing to endure, knowing that you're going to lose 91% of the time. And a lot of traders, they let these negative emotions, if they have a terrible losing streak or the last trade didn't work out very well, they'll let that affect their next trade. The fact is the next trade has nothing to do with the previous trade. If you're trading a system that has independence, which means every trade is not related to the previous trade, then by definition, it doesn't matter what happened last time. You still have the same win rate for the exact same, for every trade you take. Doesn't matter how many winners or losers you have in a row. they're independent. The next trade is another roll of the dice. So I think it's important to keep that in mind. And if you have issues with this, what I would suggest you do is, like I said before, reward yourself for executing, but also take a look at your trades in big chunks. So chunks of 30 trades or 50 trades or 70 trades. So you can assess your trading when you get big chunks of trades rather than, oh, the last trade was a loser, so I need to fix this, or the last 10 trades were losers, so I need to look at this, and oh, it's because of Brexit, or because of, the yen is doing something funny, or the non-farm payroll, or the interest rate announcements coming out on Wednesday. It's easy for us to think, the way our minds see, we think, oh, everything's broken. It's not going to work anymore because of so-and-so or what's her face or whatever. But that's usually not the case. It's actually usually the case that we're making something up in our head, and that's why we're assigning this problem to that idea. So Brexit or whatever it is, doesn't really matter. And instead, what we should be focusing on is our execution and really kind of making a game out of our trading. Are we doing well? Is another way to answer that is, are we taking the signals and executing the signals as we should? That's really what it comes down to. Hey, Yossi. Hey, Neo, Mandeep, how you doing? Great to see you guys here. Well, that's it, guys. As you can see, it's getting a bit late here. I'm going to go have some dinner with the family. I hope that you guys are having a wonderful day or night or morning, wherever you are. I wish you happy trading, and we'll probably see you tomorrow, I'd say. See you later. Bye.